His touch was my weakness, and every night I found myself wanting more. At first, I wasn't ready to admit it, not even to myself. But after I saw the way his eyes carried a storm of emotions, I gave him everything. Please subscribe and support me. Your love and your precious time is very important for me. His name was Daniel Carter, and he wasn't supposed to be mine. He used to belong to my mother, her husband for nearly 2 years, the man she had paraded through our home like a trophy. Back then, I had hated how his presence filled every corner of the house, how his voice echoed in the kitchen, how he took my mom's hand with that confident ease. But then, just like that, it ended. Their relationship collapsed under the weight of things I never cared enough to ask about. My mother moved on, as she always did, but Daniel never vanished. He stayed close in the background, checking in, helping out, calling every now and then. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was some loyalty he still felt. Either way, he didn't disappear. And over time, he started to look different to me. It wasn't just that he was older or handsome in that rugged, grown man way. It was the way he carried himself, the sharpness of his jaw, the steady calm in his voice, the kind of presence that made you aware of him even when you tried not to be. His eyes were gray, stormy, like they belonged to someone who'd seen too much and carried too many secrets. At first, I brushed it off. I told myself it was just curiosity, a silly fascination. But curiosity became something heavier, something darker. Every time he stopped by to fix a broken light or check the locks when my mom was out of town, I felt it. The tension, the heat, the pull. The night it all started, I was sitting on the porch, curled up in a blanket, listening to the crickets hum against the heavy summer air. My mom was away on business, and the house felt too big, too quiet. I hadn't expected Daniel to show up, but when his truck pulled into the driveway, my stomach twisted in that familiar mix of nerves and anticipation. He walked toward me, his shirt clinging to his chest from the heat of the day, his hair messy, his steps slow. "You okay out here?" he asked, his voice deep, edged with concern. I nodded, just thinking. He sat beside me without asking, close enough that our shoulders almost brushed. That small nearness sent sparks racing through me. We didn't speak for a while. The silence wasn't awkward. It was thick, charged, as though words would break whatever fragile balance we were holding. When I finally glanced at him, his eyes were on me, steady and searching. That look made me feel naked, like he could see every thought I was trying to hide. "You've grown up," he said softly, almost like he regretted the words the moment they left his mouth. Something inside me cracked then. I wanted to tell him to stop, that he had no right, that this was wrong. But instead, I whispered, "And you haven't changed." His hand brushed mine. Accidental, maybe. But I didn't pull away. I couldn't. That was the moment everything shifted. When his lips finally touched mine, it felt like an explosion. Years of unspoken tension, of stolen glances and forbidden thoughts, crashed into that one kiss. It was hungry, desperate, like we had both been starving for this without admitting it. After that night, there was no going back. He became my secret, my danger, my addiction. Every time my mother left town, Daniel would find a reason to come by, to check in, to make sure I was safe. But we both knew the truth. The moment the door closed behind him, our restraint dissolved. His touch was fire, burning through every defense I tried to build. The way his hands claimed me, the way his breath whispered against my ear, the way his body pressed into mine, it all consumed me. I told myself each time that it was the last, that I would stop, that I couldn't do this. But the next night or the next week, I was back in his arms begging for more. And it wasn't just physical. That was what scared me the most. One night, after we had given in again to the fire between us, I saw something in him I hadn't expected. He looked at me like I was his salvation, like I was the only thing keeping him alive. His stormy eyes softened, his voice rough with something raw and vulnerable. "You don't know what you do to me," he whispered. "You're the only thing that feels real anymore." That confession shattered me. Because in that moment, I knew I wasn't just his weakness, he was mine too. The danger only made it worse. The thrill of hiding, of knowing we were playing with fire, only pulled us deeper. Every kiss, every touch, every night we spent tangled together carried the weight of a secret too dangerous to keep and too intoxicating to give up. Weeks turned into months. Each stolen moment blurred into the next, until I couldn't remember a time when I hadn't wanted him. My body knew his every move, my heart knew his every silence, my soul knew the storm in his eyes. But secrets don't stay buried forever. One evening, my mother came home early from her trip. I'll never forget the rush of panic when the sound of her car pulling into the driveway shattered the quiet. Daniel and I froze, our bodies still too close, our breathing heavy. He pulled away, his face pale, his jaw tight. For the first time, fear drowned out desire. He left that night without a word, his truck disappearing down the street like a shadow swallowed by the dark. I sat in my room, my chest aching, wondering if it was the end. Days passed. No calls. No visits. Nothing. I thought he was gone for good. That maybe the guilt had finally caught up with him, that he had decided to cut me off before it all came crashing down. Part of me hated him for it. Part of me wanted to run after him. But all of me missed him. Then, 1 week later, he came back. It was late, past midnight, when I heard the knock on the back door. I opened it to find him standing there, drenched from the rain, his eyes wild, desperate. "I can't stay away," he said, his voice breaking. "I tried. God knows I tried, but I can't. Not from you." That was the night I stopped fighting. I let him into the house, into my room, into every part of me I had tried to keep guarded. I gave him everything, my body, my heart, my trust. And in return, he gave me the truth. He told me about the loneliness that had been eating at him, the emptiness he carried, the way I had filled that void without him meaning to let me in. He told me I was the only thing he wanted, the only thing he couldn't give up, no matter how dangerous it was. Hearing those words, seeing the raw honesty in his eyes, I knew I was lost. And I didn't care, because his touch was my weakness. His love was my addiction. And every night, no matter how many times I told myself it would be the last, I found myself wanting more. Even now, as I tell this story, I don't know how it will end. Maybe we'll be caught. Maybe the secret will tear us apart. Or maybe, just maybe, we'll survive the fire we started. But what I do know is this: I would rather burn with him than live without him. And that's the truth I can't escape.